Hello. So I was sitting down and I got caught off guard and I was like, oh fuck, I'm scheduled to do a Facebook Live. What am I going to talk about? This is often what happens for me actually. So hello, nice to see all the hearts. I'm glad you can hear me. And in a way, it's cliche, right? I live in the United States and we have like American Thanksgiving coming up. And, I'm all for giving thanks. I love gratitude as much as the next person. But so there's sort of this cliche, like to talk about something that has to do with Thanksgiving or gratitude. And as I sat there, this thing popped up. Specifically, it was like, don't fake gratefulness. And I didn't even really quite know what I wanted to share about that. Hello. But it came so strongly that I sat down and I put some thought into it. So there's a few things that I want to say. And the first is really, in a way you could say it's my perspective on gratitude. And actually, before I get started, just, please at any time, feel free to put a comment or a question. I've noticed that because I'm on my phone, the comments get cut off. So like I can get a couple sentences and after that I miss it. So either break it up into two maybe, or keep it short, and we'll try to keep the conversation going. But I love the dialogue. So anyway, the foundation piece around, gratitude. And this isn't so much like a definition of gratitude, but I was thinking about it, I was like, what's really required of us to feel genuine gratitude? I'm trying to turn myself the other direction. I'm getting lost. Okay, sorry. I'm just going to keep going, even though something weird is happening with my phone. And what I was really realizing is that at its core, like genuine gratitude really requires us it requires humility. And it requires humility in a couple of forms. Hi, Jean. One is there's like the humility, like when we feel, rather than just like that sense that I think happens a lot, which is like, oh, I should feel grateful, or I know I have a good life, like I should feel grateful for it. But when we have that genuine either inspiration to gratitude or like a genuine just outpouring, like, there's two things. I mean, there's probably other things that are present too, but the two that came to me really strongly are one, and they're both about humility. One is the humility of, I didn't do this alone. Like the knowledge that, sometimes it's very obvious. Like, oh, other humans helped me to get here, or this person supported me, or there's sort of this obvious sense of having received support or help. But sometimes it's really just like having an awareness of all the myriad miracles that got me here. And that some of them I know and some of them I don't know. But ultimately there's this sense of like almost a miraculous occurring of life that allowed me to be right here where I am, creating whatever I'm creating or experiencing whatever I'm experiencing. And the other piece of that, and they really go hand in hand, I think partly because they are both related to humility, but the other piece is like, I don't deserve this. And when I say I don't deserve this, I don't mean you don't deserve it. I just mean that there's nothing inherent to me that makes it like, oh, I deserve this more than anybody else. And it doesn't mean you didn't work hard or these kinds of things, but there's just this sense like that comes with humility that's like, there's not I'm no more deserving than anyone else. And from that, there's this sense that it's a gift. And that's where gratitude really comes from, is like, wow, this is a gift. Even if I've contributed to it, which you certainly have, I certainly have, but it's kind of like in this moment I can look out my window and there's this tree, there's some blue sky, there's this whole thing. It's like this moment is a gift, that this tree exists here. Like, this is a gift. That I'm breathing right now, this is a gift. I'm no more deserving of it than somebody else, and there's myriad miracles that came together so that I could experience this gift. Let me see, I have to turn like this because I don't know why my comments are like this. Naomi says, also gratitude to the divine. Yes, no sense of entitlement. I mean, to me, that's partly included in like the myriad miracles that allow me to be right here, having the experience I'm having with everything, like everything that I have. It's like a total miracle. So gratitude requires humility. I didn't do this alone. I'm no more deserving than anybody else, and it's a gift. So kind of to the point of this like, don't fake gratitude. So this is like fundamental in one sense, right? Authenticity is core of some of my teachings. And so I'd start there, which is like, if you don't feel grateful, don't fake it. I'm going to give a little prescription in just a minute. And I'm not saying that people who talk like this are always faking it, but I do want to say I think we probably have all had some experience with somebody like, I'm just grateful for everything that's ever happened in my life, and I'm grateful for life, and there's moments where you can feel like that's really genuine, and then there's moments where you can really feel like there's some bypassing. And I have moments in my life, for instance, where I truly, again, it's like those myriad miracles. It's like, wow, nothing could actually have gone differently, or I wouldn't be right here. And so I am grateful. But I also look back and I'm like, man, that was rough, you know, or I really wish I'd made a different choice there. And the willingness to acknowledge that brings like kind of the real grit to gratitude. So if you're not feeling grateful, rather than trying to pile gratitude on top of that, I would say start with, don't fake it. And these are the notes I wrote to myself I'm looking at. Faking it is rude. There's this sense, I don't know if I'll be able to convey it here, but there's this sense that if I or you or someone else isn't really feeling gratitude and then fakes it, like, it feels a little rude. Like, I would rather know what's actually going on than get kind of the surface, like just the light side, like, well, everything sucks right now, but you know, gratitude. So don't fake it. It's kind of rude. The second piece I would say about that is, often if you're really feeling like you can't access your gratitude, you might actually need some praise. Like, you might need to be given to. It might not be the right time yet for you to be putting out. Like, gratitude is a natural outpouring of feeling somewhat full. Sometimes it's really full and overflowing. And I mean, I love it when I feel that way, but I don't always feel that way. And sometimes if I notice that I'm having trouble accessing my gratitude, it actually means that I need something. I need some praise. Maybe I need to give myself some praise. I need to kind of fill my own well up a little bit in order to access that part that feels gratitude. The final piece I put on here, and this is where it goes a little bit into, I actually think we do have access to gratitude in every moment. And there are moments when we need to do something first, like receive some praise, or take the moment that actually take, how do I want to say this? There is that filling of one's own cup in order to feel genuine gratitude. And the other piece I would say about that is, often we can dig a little bit deeper. So I might be on the surface like, I don't feel gratitude, so and then I want to like pile gratitude on top. But that part that goes like, I don't feel grateful, like things suck, or I'm tired, or the kids were whiny, or I don't get to buy a new pair of boots, or, like I don't feel grateful. I want something different. That there can be a place to dig a little deeper. And what that often requires, this is kind of the third piece I want to touch on, is it takes us slowing down. That there's a pause that can come. And I will say, especially if you're watching this video, like this is, I want to say, living in the kind of conditions that most of us who have the time or the technology or the inclination, the capacity to stop and even be in this conversation, we have the capacity to pause, to slow down long enough to feel something that feels good in our lives. I don't even have a specific right now, but as soon as I paused in that way, as I said, like to take a pause, and I took a breath, there was a part of me that was just like, there's actually an emotion that comes up in me that's like, oh, I do get to be here. And in that experience, there's some inherent gratitude. So it's pausing in the midst, I know, American Thanksgiving is coming. There's a lot of family. There's a lot of moving parts. Turkeys need to be baked and pies need to be cooked and stuffing needs to be made and silverware needs to be found and the children are running around and too crazy and your family's annoying you and there's not enough time and all of that's going on. And I pretty much guarantee that every single one of us has the time to pause. We have the capacity to pause, to breathe, and to notice something in our lives that feels good. Either it's an actual physical experience, like the feeling of breath, or like I noticed this tree outside my window, or to look around in the chaos of all of that and every single piece of your family that's annoying you and just feel like it's amazing that you have it at all. Or maybe there's just one person, maybe everyone else like really is annoying and there's just one person that touches your heart in some way that has gifted you in your life. And you can actually feel grateful for that. I remember about, I think it was before my daughter was born. It may have been as much as 7 years ago, but I went through this period of time where I kind of, like I didn't feel grateful and I didn't wanna, and like there was a lot that I could genuinely complain about in my life. And I took on this practice that was around writing down what did I actually feel grateful for. And it didn't matter if it looked good or it was the kinds of things that I should be grateful for. And I remember I ended up, like a lot of times, what was really there was like hot water. Man, if I take a moment and I think about it, I am consistently grateful for hot water. Like showers, man, showers will do it for me every time. Tea, I love tea. Like being able to have hot water to make tea with milk and honey in it. Like these are the things that I'm genuinely, consistently grateful for. The moment my kids fall asleep and it's really quiet, like, oh, like that moment is pure bliss. And so it was finding these very, sometimes subtle, very specific, almost selfish. Like again, remember that it's a gift. That's what's actually there to be grateful for. So like these moments, like, oh, I'm actually grateful for this specific thing. And it doesn't matter if it looks good or it's the kind of thing I should say I'm grateful for. But what are those real things? So slowing down enough to feel, what are those for you? And the other example I have of that is, I mean, this is something I feel genuinely grateful for. But my older child, my son, goes to a school right now where one of the things they do every day is they say, my name is, and then it's a nature-based program. So they say, my name is, and my nature name is, and something I'm grateful for is. And it's sort of like something they loved about the day is usually what they bring in. And so my son has brought this home, and we do it almost every night at the table. And I'm so grateful that he brought it, right? Like that I, as the mother, don't have to impose something and try to tell my children they should be grateful. And frankly, most of the time they make it kind of a game. You know, my daughter likes to say, my nature name is Penguin, and I'm grateful for ice. Get it, Mom? Because penguins live on ice. Get it? Like, um, or my son, what occurred to me last night was my son said, I'm grateful for my Legos. And then he kind of laughed, like that was like it was, I don't think he would understand what shallow means, but it was like some part of him thought maybe that was a shallow gratitude. And I didn't say this to him, but inside my head I was like, damn straight you're grateful for those Legos. I was like, me and your dad have bought you a lot of Legos. You should be grateful. But I think like we either forget, or I'm wondering in this moment almost if like there's material wealth, material goods that we have that we almost feel ashamed about having so much, and so it's like we almost want to pretend we're not grateful for them because like it just shows that I have too much. But those are the moments really that we should be grateful for, and say should, you know. So I'm going to leave it at that, and just again, there's this piece to remember, which is that gratitude, like genuine gratitude, actually requires our humility. That no matter how hard we worked, there's some sense I didn't do this alone. My whole life, there's no way. You know, each individual thing, have I worked hard for it? But frankly, no one does their life alone. No one. I didn't do this alone, and I don't deserve it. And it doesn't mean I don't deserve it. It just means it's not like I was born. That's what I did to deserve all this. I was born. So it's a gift. And as soon as we really start to experience our life as a gift, and the things in our life as a gift, that we get to do the things we do, that we get to have what we have, gratitude starts to come more inherently. But if you don't feel it, don't fake it. Just don't fake it. That there's more available from bringing what's actually true, and that that often points to, first, that you might need something, and that second, there's a place to actually dig deeper. That often it means that we're kind of moving fast in our lives, and often it's actually that moment that we pause and we take a moment that we realize like, oh, I need something. And that's the thing that we need before we can feel grateful. Or we pause and kind of like I didn't expect that, but it was like I paused and I took a breath, and I had kind of an upwelling of emotion and genuine gratitude for just getting to sit here and be with all of you. Oh, this is the last piece I almost forgot, which is that the other thing is, it can get tricky because sometimes we genuinely need to receive something in order to feel gratitude. But I'll say the last piece is that if we can actually give generously, almost always actually creates gratitude. We kind of know this, but it also is a little counterintuitive. But there's a place like anytime I'm feeling stingy, or I'm feeling miserly, or I don't want to give and I want to get, almost always, 9 times out of 10, if I can find a place inside me that can genuinely give, there's a receiving that happens, and there's an upwelling of gratitude that gets created. And without, I mean, yes, I had to do the giving first, but it's like I don't have to find it. It doesn't have to be hard. So there's my pre-American Thanksgiving spiel on don't fake gratitude. I hope that there was something valuable in there for you. If there's any last comments or questions or shares of any kind, happy to see them. If you're watching the replay and you want to put a comment or a question or a share, I'll definitely come back. And let this be a dialogue, even if it's more in the written form than in the moment. Just wishing you all a really, really beautiful rest of your day, rest of your week. And for those of you who are here in the United States and celebrating Thanksgiving in some way, shape, or form, I hope it's warm. I hope it's cozy. I hope you find one thing that you can be genuinely grateful for in the midst of everything else. And ciao.